Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us today. My name is Alf Anderson. I am an Associate State Director with the Maine State Office of AARP. I am pleased to be co-hosting today's session with Beth Bordewitz from Merit. Um, AARP has been supporting the creation of Merit all the way through the legislation process through to the launch of the program this year, I should say. And we are really proud of the work that's gone into getting the program off the ground. AARP is a nationwide organization that empowers people to choose how they live as they age. And retirement savings is a key part of that for many of us. We've been advocating nationwide for workers to have an easy way to save for retirement through their jobs. And these public-private retirement savings accounts like Merit are really a key to success for so many. And we're happy to see that so many workers here in Maine are taking advantage of the program and starting to save for their future. So without further ado, I'm going to hand things over to Beth Bordewitz.
Thank you, Alf. It is a pleasure to be here with you today. AARP has been a wonderful and trusted partner of Merit since before the beginning of Merit, and your continued support as we launch the program and make sure that everyone across the state is aware of it is very, very much appreciated. So I am the Executive Director of the Maine Retirement Savings Board, which runs the Merit program. And I am here today to introduce all of you potential or maybe actual savers to Merit, so you understand the program and know what will be happening as you get started with Merit. So today we are going to talk about just very quickly, why did the legislature enact Merit? And then what is Merit? What does it mean for you as an employer? And particularly today, what does it mean for you as employees? So I want you to know a little bit about what your employer is looking at, but we'll be focusing on what it will mean for you as an employee today. We've talked about the implementation schedule, and then I'm going to answer some frequently asked questions. Merit was created because people like AARP and others realize that there is a gap in access to a workplace retirement plan among Maine workers. So over 200,000 people do not have access to a workplace retirement plan in Maine. And the studies show that people are 15 times more likely to save for their retirement if it's made easy for them by doing a payroll deduction from work. So programs like Merit were created to help fill that gap for people who do not have the opportunity to save for their retirement through a workplace retirement plan. Saving for retirement and starting early is very important. Particularly, this slide shows what it means to start early. And I want to be clear that Merit is an investment program. This slide assumes a 4% annual return after inflation. So your returns may and probably will differ. This is a slide from Vanguard.com. But what it does show is pretty consistent, that if you start early, at each dollar that you contribute becomes worth a lot more by the time you reach age 65. So you can see if you are starting at age 25, that dollar is worth almost $5. And if you start later, it can be worth less than half of that. So this is just a quick visual to point out the importance of starting early, but it really never is too late. One more visual on the benefits of starting early, because this one I always find very interesting, and I think it's eye-opening for people to see that if you put away the same amount of money, or actually twice, if you put away money from ages 25 to 40, it can be worth more than the person who puts away twice as much, who saves twice as much money between the ages of 35 to 65. And again, this is an illustration based on assumed investment returns, but it is very telling that how beneficial it is to start early. So again, If you start at the age of 25 to 40 in this example and put away 150,000, you would have over $1 million by the time you're age 65. Whereas if you save when you start later and you save twice as much, you would have a couple of $100,000 less. So just something to keep in mind as you're trying to make your decision about how much to save with merit and how you want to do that. Keep in mind, retirement kind of comes sooner than many people think it will. This last slide about the benefits of starting early is a screenshot from meritsaves.com. So this is where you can look at your own situation and decide what kind of savings might make sense for you. So in this example, we have set up a 30-year-old who plans to retire at the age of 65. So they've got 35 more years to save. They're currently making $30,000 per year before taxes, and they have nothing saved in their Roth IRA at this time. They plan to save 5%, and we put in tax filing purposes that they're single. And so you can see this projects savings at various ages. Again, there are assumptions about the investment rate and the inflation rate and when you will retire. But just to give you some idea, this, if you start saving at that level, by the time you're 40, you'll have $23,000 saved. But by the time you're ready to retire at 65, you'll have $250,000 saved. So this is a great tool. You can fill in any of the things that are underlined for your own example. So if you happen to be 27, want to retire when you're 62, and you're making $35,000, you can just put that in and change the scenario and see what that will mean for you as you plan your retirement savings. So with that sort of explanation of why it's really good to save with merit, I want just to let you know that Maine is not alone in offering this program. As Alf mentioned, AARP has worked on these types of programs nationwide. Maine is the 8th state to start an auto IRA program, and there are several other states that have enacted legislation. So at this point, 10 programs are active and several more are on the way. So we are not alone in doing this. So about merit. It must be offered by every employer in Maine who does not offer a qualified retirement plan. So if your employer already offers a 401k or a 403b or any other type of qualified retirement plan, they will not be offering you merit. You'll be able to participate in their workplace plan as long as your retirement meets the qualifications of your employment meets the qualifications of their workplace plan. Every employer with 5 or more Maine employees, and they must have been in business 2 years. So the employers who meet those criteria must offer merit. They will be offered to employees who are employed in Maine, are 18 years or older, and have a social security number. Those last 2 requirements are set by federal law. So if you meet those requirements, you're employed by someone who has 5 or more employees, you're working in Maine, and you're over 18 and have a social security number, you will be enrolled in merit because your employer is required to enroll you. So as I mentioned, your employer is required to enroll you. We refer to that as the automatic enrollment. But again, your participation is voluntary. You can opt out at any time. So you will be enrolled. And we'll get into it a little bit later about how you can opt out if that is what you want to do. Merit is run as a public-private partnership. So we, as the state of Maine, have partnered by contract with Vestwell, which is a financial technology company, a fintech company, and Bank of New York Mellon, which is a large financial institution. This program is professionally managed, and we have large financial services companies that assist us. And our goal is to keep it as simple as possible. Of course, we have a lot of federal requirements that we also have to meet. So for you as an employee, again, you will be automatically enrolled in merit. That is what is required of your employer, so they will be enrolling you. If you do nothing, our default provisions are that 5% of your wages will be automatically withdrawn from each of your paychecks. That amount will increase 1 year up to a maximum of 10%. And if you do not make a different choice, your funds will be invested in what we call the Capital Preservation Fund, which is a money market account for the first 30 days, and then it will be moved into what we call a target date suite of funds. And what that means is that your funds will be invested with the expectation that you're going to retire at age 65, and the funds will get more conservative as you near retirement age. So as you're younger and there's more opportunity and time for risk in the markets, you'll have more aggressive portfolio. And as you get older, that will get more conservative. You, as the employee, you've got choices. You can opt out of the plan entirely. You can say not for me, or not for me right at this time. I have another retirement plan outside of Merit, or I just can't really pull it off right now. You can change the percentage of the wages that you want to contribute. So let's say you look at those earlier slides and you said, whew, I am way behind. I want to invest 10%. You can do that. Or you can say, I just want to dip my toe in and let me start with 2%. So whatever percentage works for you, that's the amount that you can contribute. And you're not stuck with your choice that you make when you first register. You can change that percentage at any time. Maybe that first amount comes out and you look at it and you say, well, that was pretty easy. I can up that a little bit and start planning to put away more for my retirement sooner. And you have a choice of investment options. So in addition to the Capital Preservation Fund and the Target Date suite of funds, you can invest your funds in a fixed income fund or an international equity fund. Additionally, you can mix and match. So perhaps you want to keep 10% of your funds in the Capital Preservation Fund and put the rest of it into the Target Date suite of funds. You can do that. You can also choose a Target Date suite of funds that does not match to age 65 as your retirement year. Perhaps you think you're going to retire at 60. You can choose that fund, or you want to be a little bit more aggressive and choose a later date for your retirement. You can do that as well. So those choices are all up to you. This is just a quick schematic of how Merit works so that you have some idea of what the timeline is. So as I mentioned, your employer is required to participate in Merit if they have 5 employees and have been in business 2 years. And they will have received an email or a letter from the program explaining the program to them and providing them with an access code to register. The employers will then upload all of the roster of eligible employees into the portal. They'll provide us your information. And then we at the program will be reaching out to you 3 times during the next 30 days. So those 30 days are your first decision period. You can do nothing. You can keep the standard choices that I just reviewed. 5% contributed to your account. The Capital Preservation Fund as your first option. And auto escalation, increasing 1% per year, every year that you're in the program, up to 10%. You can customize your account. Again, you can choose a different percentage to invest each paycheck. You can choose a different investment. You can choose to not participate in the auto escalation, or you can opt out entirely. After 30 days have passed, your employer will be able to see who has been enrolled in the program, including those who have been auto-enrolled. And then they will begin with the next payroll, initiating the payroll deduction. So that's when you will start seeing the contributions leave your payroll and be contributed into leave your paycheck and be contributed into your Roth IRA. So you as the employer, as I mentioned, will receive from us 3 emails in that 30-day period. that email will also have an access code for you. And you can use that access code to go to meritsaves.com under the Saver portion of the page and register. You can click on register and you'll be asked to enter the code that you were sent. You can see maybe it's small print, but right underneath it says don't have your code. So if for some reason you don't have your code, you can still register with Merit. You'll just need to follow the prompts under that other link. Registering with Merit starts like every other account that you are opening that has strong security. So we want to be sure that the security on these accounts is very strong. So we do require authentication of people. We require a strong password. We want to make sure that your money and your information is safe. So once you have set up your account, gotten through your verification of identity, created your login, then you get to set up your Merit account. This will be the first screen that you will see. And you can see that the very first thing you can do is change your contribution rate. So it's going to show 5% when you start because that is the default. You can put any whole number in there that you would like from 0 to 100%. So up to you, you can make that change. The next option that you have to choose is the automatic yearly increase, which I've been referring to as auto escalation. And if you have your account set to, let's say 5%, come next January, that would increase 1% and would increase every January for a year. There is a proviso that your account has to be open 180 days before that increase will happen. So if you open your account after July in any given year, that first auto escalation will not happen. The next year won't happen until the following year. But you can see that that is one of the choices you can make to increase your contribution or to not increase the contributions automatically. I advise you that if you do increase your contributions, you choose to have that, you won't be caught by surprise. It will happen on January 1st, and you will receive notice that it's going to happen. And the last choice is to opt out. You can choose to opt out entirely. The next choice you'll make is your investment option. So again, this screen shows you the default investment options. Again, the capital preservation option or the money market fund for the first 30 days that you are in the program, and thereafter that target date suite of funds. You can click that change strategy button and change your investments and have them however you would like, which with whatever percentages of the investments you would like to have. And again, I remind you that these choices are not in concrete. You can change them at any time. That's true of the percentages that you want to invest as well as your investment options. The last thing you'll do when you're setting up your account is set up your primary and contingent beneficiaries. So your primary beneficiaries are the people who your account would transfer to upon your death. So you can set up to 5 primary beneficiaries. This does not have to be a family member. It can be anyone that you choose. And the contingent beneficiaries are the individuals who would receive your account if all of the primary beneficiaries have also already passed away. So an example of setting up your primary and contingent beneficiaries could be that you set up your spouse or partner as a primary beneficiary, and then your children as contingent beneficiaries. But of course, again, you can it does not need to be a relative to be a beneficiary. It can be anyone that you would like to have your account upon your death. Once your account is set up, you'll be able to go to it at any time. You'll be able to see a dashboard like this that shows your balance. It shows where you are invested, and it shows how much is being contributed. And it has the word employers in that square, and that's because maybe you have more than one employer or who is contributing to your merit account, and you can have different contribution amounts from from different employers. So if you are registered with merit with more than one employer, it will show on that last block. You'll see that middle block will show where you're invested. This example is invested solely in the capital preservation fund. But if that person were invested in 2 funds or 3 funds, that would show on that chart. And you can see from the top that you can review various elements of your plan, including recent activity or where you are invested. So you can take a look at any of that at any time. And you'll see right on this dashboard, it gives you the opportunity to change your contribution rate or to make an exchange, which would be changing your investment options. So you can do any of those things starting right from your dashboard. So we want to get right to some FAQs, some frequently asked questions that I get regularly. The first, again, can I make changes to my account? And the answer is yes. You can change the percentage of your paycheck that you contribute or your investment options at any time. People also want to know about the investments. Where is the information? How do I know what I'm investing in? So I can tell you that you are investing in funds that are run by State Street Global Advisors and by BlackRock. And you can see all of the detail about the investment options on the website meritsaves.com. Under the Savers tab, there is a link to the investment page, and that page lets you dive in as deep as you would like to understand the investments in the program. And if you opt out, you can opt back in at any time. Again, all of your decisions with Merit can be changed as your life changes, as your opportunities change. You can come back and look at the choices that you made with Merit and change them to fit where you are at that moment. So I thank you for your attention. This is where you can contact me at my email, elizabeth.bodowitz@mainsaves.org. If you have questions about setting up your account, you'll want to call that employee accounts customer service line. And you can do everything for your account, register, opt out, see what's going on with your account at meritsaves.com.
It looks like you just hit on most of them. I think people had put questions in earlier about how to participate, whether they can contribute more or less, which you've talked about quite a bit. There's one thing here. Who do I contact if I have questions? There's the phone number and email address right there for folks. There's another question here. How do I find out if my employer has signed up for Merit? I mean, like, what if I'm not getting emails about enrolling? Who should I contact to find out?
Right. So if you're not getting emails about Merit, then you should call that, but you know your employer has registered, you should call that number 833-608-8840. Or you can go to meritsaves.com. You can start to open your account and you should be able to see the information there. But if it's a question of why the emails aren't coming, oftentimes it's very simple. Your employer had a typo in your email address or your regular address, or ended up in your spam filter. So before you call, definitely check your spam filter first. And you should also double check what email address was entered into the system. The other thing I wanted to highlight, I'm not sure I hit on, but if you want to opt out, there are 3 ways. You can call that number that you see on your screen, 833-608-8840. You can do that through a voice recognition system or by talking to someone. You can opt out, as I mentioned, online at meritsaves.com. And instead of registering for your account, you can just click, I want to opt out, and follow that link to opt out. Or there is paper. If you prefer to do things by paper, you have to go online to download the form, but you can download an opt-out form and send in paper. That is not the fastest way, certainly much faster to call or do it online.
Great.
And
I do have one other question here for you. Someone asked, what if I switch jobs? What happens to my account? And can I start contributing with my new employer?
excellent question. So if you switch jobs and you have a merit account, if your new employer is also in merit, you will be contributing to the same account. So you can start with your new employer. Your new employer will be required to register you with merit as well. And you will be contributing to the same account. So you won't have that 30-day decision period. You'll basically pick up right where you left off. Now, if your employer does have a workplace savings account other than merit, perhaps they have a 401k or a 403b, you would get the information about that account from your employer, and then you would not be contributing to merit. But you could check with your new retirement plan provider to see if you can roll your merit account over into their account so that you try to keep all of your retirement assets together.
That's great. Thanks, Beth. That's all the questions I see in the queue. So I will reiterate Beth's message of thanking you all for your time today. Beth, thank you so much for digging in and offering the great details on merit. And thanks again for your time. Happy savings, everyone.
Thank you, Alf. Thank you for joining me today.